It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview James Madison Baseball Associate Head Coach, Jimmy Jackson. How are you doing today?
Good, doing really well. Thank you.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college coaching?
Honestly, I didn't really know that I wanted to get into it. I was coaching at a local high school, private school where I grew up, and doing lessons. And then I had a friend of mine coaching in college. He kept telling me a lot about it. And it started to really interest me. And I knew I always wanted to be in baseball, and I definitely wasn't going to be able to play anymore. Wasn't quite good enough for that. So I looked into how you look into college jobs, and luckily I got my start.
Of course, what was your first start?
At Siena College up in New York.
How did you know that you wanted to get into being a pitcher coach?
Pitching was always like a secondary position for me, to be honest with you. I always loved playing shortstop. I grew up in Maryland and idolized Cal Ripken, so I always tried to do what he did. And it was kind of odd because he was a pitcher when he was younger too. But so I always coached pitchers, but I kind of fell into it because when I was coaching at the high school, the head coach was an infield guy and a hitting guy. And that's what he asked me to help out with, being that I had pitched and I pitched a little bit after college. That's always what I was better at. I was like playing shortstop more, but I was better at pitching. So then I just really dove into pitching and how to coach and, the different things that maybe I wasn't taught when I was younger, just because I didn't really have a pitching coach growing up. So yeah, I kind of fell into that a little bit too.
What was your time like at Senion as a pitching coach and recruitment coordinator?
Oh, it was unbelievable. Working for Coach Rossi is probably, I wish every single college coach got a chance to work for him. He's got the longest tenure in the country. He's been there over 50 years at the same school as the head coach the entire time. He teaches you a lot, even outside of baseball, just as far as time management, how important the little things are, the field, the players, the locker room. Um, I I have no idea where I'd be if I didn't get a chance to coach under Coach Rossi. That's for sure.
What was your time like coaching for Fordham?
At Fordham, it was great. It kind of worked out a little odd. We had just lost in the conference championship game to Manhattan College in the MAC conference when I was at Siena, and the coach we lost to was Kevin Layton. And Kevin that summer had gotten the head coaching job at Fordham and asked me to go with him. I didn't know a lot about the school at the time, just from growing up in Maryland. Learned about it very quickly. All my friends that I had met over the last 3 years up there told me immediately, you have to go, you got to do it. Coaching in the A10 was great. Coaching for Kevin was incredible. I definitely learned a lot from him too, more so from baseball side, player management, being a player's coach, when to get on guys, when not to get on them, things along those lines. So my 4 years spent there were incredible.
What was the transition like from going from there to Harrisonburg?
Oh, it was awesome. Here in Harrisonburg it's so much similar to where I grew up. I don't know. I feel like where I grew up is kind of a mix in between being at Fordham and being here. This is a little bit more country than where I grew up, but very similar. Definitely a lot more diverse, just like the city, and similar to where I grew up. But coaching down here has been incredible. It's definitely a great place. We really got lucky. We had our first child before I moved here, and then we had our second while we've been living here. So a place for them to grow up. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better town, a better community, a better school to be at, to be honest, for raising our two kids.
What are some of your roles and responsibilities as the recruitment coordinator?
Typically when you're the recruiting coordinator, everybody thinks you're like the only one to really go recruit, which is not even close to what it is. It's so funny because we have kids reach out. Like here, I'm the associate head coach, where Alex, our hitting coach, is our recruiting coordinator here. Now, at my previous two schools, that was my title, but it's more so just kind of handling all the paperwork for recruits, handling all the paperwork for commits, for the national letters of intent, as well as putting together the recruiting calendar for the summer and the fall. And then between all three of us, me, him, and our head coach, we kind of decide on where we're going, as more of like a joint effort. But it's always been an odd thing because a lot of high school kids and parents really, it's almost like they think the only recruiting person is the recruiting coordinator. But it's not. So yeah, the main responsibility is that, a lot of the paperwork stuff and the calendar.
What was it like to get the job at James Madison?
Oh, it was a dream come true. I mean, to coach down here, to coach in the CAA and be 2.5 hours from where I grew up. Actually within probably an hour of a lot of guys I played college baseball with that all lived through Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia. Again, the community part, it's a heck of a lot cheaper to live down here than it is in New York. So that definitely helped myself, my wife, and our kids out a lot. But yeah, it's been a dream.
Of course, as a pitching coach, what is it like to see James Madison pitchers go up into the next level of the MLB?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I do it. I think getting a chance to coach these guys at such a, it's an early age, but it's, they're a little bit into their development, but not fully developed by any means as a person or as a pitcher. And just getting to see these guys, get the chance of a lifetime. And it's every baseball player's dream to get drafted and play minor league baseball in hopes of making it to the big leagues. And I've been lucky enough to coach a couple guys that have done it and gotten all the way up, and lucky enough to coach a handful more that have moved on to the minor league ranks, and they're working their way through that now. But it really is. I mean, it's not that I've ever felt like a dad to any of them by any means, but you almost get that dad feeling of accomplishment, as if like one of your own kids accomplished something. But yeah, it makes me speechless, to be honest. Every time it happens, you call them and text them and FaceTime them, and you're just so happy for them.
What was the feeling like whenever you got promoted as the associate head baseball coach?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was a lot of years of hard work that went into it. I respect Coach Ike enormously. He's definitely been a great mentor, somebody I've learned a lot from for different aspects of life, coaching, family wise, everything. And to be here with him for a handful of years, and coming in when he took over as a new head coach and kind of dealing with a lot of those, unforeseen problems that we've dealt with over the years, and doing that together, and knowing that he's got the confidence in me to give me a title like that. You feel a lot more comfortable when he's not around, or if you need to step in for him in any occasion, even if we're hosting an event and he can't be here, and you kind of feel like, okay, well, now I feel comfortable stepping in for me because he's given me this title.
What was a typical game day like for you before COVID and now after COVID?
Very different, from wearing the mask all the time, trying to stay distant with the players, trying to keep the players distant from each other. We had a distant dugout. We had guys sitting outside the dugout. It's been extremely difficult, extremely different. So I'm definitely glad to be back to somewhat normal, to where we don't have to do those things now that everybody's getting vaccinated. But really, it was just more of a challenge, not from a time standpoint, more so from a coaching aspect. When you get on the field, all you really want to worry about is baseball. You don't want to be worried about anything else. We even try to tell the players, like, this is the 3 to 6 hours out of the day, depending on if it's a game day or practice, that you don't have to worry about school. You don't have to worry about anything else. You can just focus on baseball. But during COVID, that really wasn't true. In the middle of hitting ground balls, you're reminding guys to stay spread out. In the middle of throwing bullpens, you're reminding guys to be on separate mounds, where we're not on the 2 mounds closest to each other. So it's definitely been a lot different. I'll be glad to get back to normal.
Who are some teams in your conference that you play?
That we play against?
Yes.
So up in the Northeast, we play Northeastern and Hofstra out of New York. Northeastern's out of Boston. And then we play Towson, who's located in Maryland, Delaware, University of Delaware. And then you get down, moving more south, William and Mary, who's also like an in-state rival of ours. Elon down in the Carolinas, College of Charleston down in South Carolina, and UNC Wilmington.
What is it like to always come down to like UNC Wilmington, Charlotte area? Of course, being up north area.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I feel like we're kind of in the best of both worlds, to be honest with you. I mean, we're right in that middle, right in that mid-Atlantic. So we get a little bit of the winter weather from the guys up north, like I had to deal with a lot living up there. But you don't get the bad winters by any means. But competing with those teams that are a little bit more south and in even better weather, basically, they're really not getting much snow in those areas in the wintertime, but it's incredible to compete against them. I mean, all 3 of those more southern schools have tremendous head coaches and coaching staffs. All 3 have coaching staffs that have been around for a long time, people that have stayed at their schools, and I, to be honest, probably have had chances to move on to what some may think are bigger and better. But I think it speaks very highly of the schools in our league to keep some of the coaches that they've been able to keep, at a place like UNC Wilmington, where they won so much for 15, 20 years, and their assistant takes over as a head coach and, never chose to leave, knew he wanted to be there,
What is the recruitment process like for prospective student athletes that are looking to play college baseball?
Every kid goes about it different. Some just simply email us, give us phone calls, things like that on the office phone, and send us videos from there. Some it's more through their coaches. Their coaches will reach out to us, send us all that information. And then from there, it's just a matter of us seeing them. Some players we go out and we watch them in different events. Some players we get a chance to have them attend one of our camps. Sorry, that's my office phone now. But it's great because we get to see that whole, process of them growing up right in front of us, trying to watch them from maybe even as far back as freshman year into sophomore year, into junior year, when we really recruit them heavily, see them get bigger, stronger, et cetera. So the process is very different for each guy. Some is simply a high school or travel ball coach reaching out to us and saying, hey, this is a guy that's interested in JMU and I think he's good enough. We go watch him for a week or 2 and we move from there. So yeah, the processes are very different depending on the guy.
What is the official visit like for prospective student athletes?
Nowadays, the official visits in baseball are kind of very different. Us and softball both almost, we recruit kids so early. I guess more so now with baseball, more so than softball, because they had built in some new rules. But most of our guys are already verbally committed before they're even allowed to take an official visit. So if we do official visits now, it's more so for those recruits to be able to stay on campus, go to eat lunch with us, hang out with our players in the dorms, spend the night with them, get to know the team, hang out on the field, things like that. Years and years ago, it used to be the same process, but it was really because you were trying to recruit the kid at that moment. You were trying to get them to commit. Nowadays, it's more so committed players that are going on official visits. And then you're just hoping that, the official visit goes well and they stick to their commitment and they don't give us a reason to not want them to be a part of the program. But Yeah, the official visits are very different now, but it's really just more an up close, personal, get to know each other even more.
Of course, on the official visit, do they get to try on the JMU purple uniforms?
We haven't done it yet. I know a lot of schools are doing that. It's probably something we may add in. I'm not sure. We've had a couple guys over the years, do that where they want to throw a jersey on or something. We're not that we're against it. It's just not really part of something we do. I know it's a big thing in football and basketball. That's like a big thing. For baseball, it's not really as much of a thing in recruiting.
What advice would you give high school athletes looking to play college baseball?
Oh gosh. Really a lot of stuff. I mean, the first most important one is they better take care of themselves in the classroom. The last thing you want to do is cancel yourself out with a lot of schools simply because you don't work hard in the classroom. Maintaining a good GPA, being prepared for the SATs and ACTs, that's definitely first and foremost. They have to make sure that they're a good teammate. The last thing they want is for their high school coach or travel coach to have any questions about promoting them to us, to college coaches, because they may not be a good teammate. So I think that is extremely important. Them understanding that every coach they come into contact with, whether they play a weekend for them, they play a summer, they play through their high school career for them, they know these kids inside and out. So when we ask these coaches, what type of person, what type of teammate he is, if we're not getting rave reviews, we move on to the next guy. So the grades, first and foremost, being a good teammate, and then just the simple things in baseball in general, just always playing hard, always running fast, being on and off the field quick. All those things are things we look at. I try to tell the kids that come to our camps all the time is, not to make it sound in a negative way at all, but never give a coach a reason to cross you off, because it's really, really easy to cross a guy off. It's extremely difficult for us to find guys that we do want to make an offer to and circle them, as a guy, somebody we want in our program. That's difficult. The super easy part is that, the really, really difficult part. But the easy part is crossing them off, so if there's any little negative thing in there, it's very simple to just go, okay, he's out.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you have helped build at JMU?
Yeah, I really think it's been a culmination of years, to be honest. It's really more of a family atmosphere, I guess a brotherhood, you'd say. The guys genuinely caring about each other, knowing that the coaches have their back, knowing that the coaches are going to go out of their way to do anything we can for them, whether it's our youngest assistant to our head coach or anybody in the middle. We're all here for them. I think they know that. I know they know that. And knowing that we care about him as a person, not just as a baseball player. And I think that's trickled around the entire program, because you see the older guys taking the younger guys and coaching them up, helping them out, whether it's with academics or with things with the coaching staff, or, when some freshmen come in and maybe they're not getting the playing time they would like, having an older guy there to tell them, hey, I've been in this situation before, just keep working, it'll work out. To me, that's always just a brotherhood, family atmosphere. And I think we finally have gotten to the point where we've created that pretty well.
What advice would you give college baseball players looking to make it into the professionals?
Really, it's the same thing. I think everybody's got to find their different path. Some guys need an off season to just train and get bigger and stronger and faster. You turn on a major league game, these guys aren't little. Even the short ones aren't little. They might be short, but they're put together. They're strong guys. You don't see as many weak, I guess you'd say, physically weak major leaguers anymore, just because they can run. They're in the big leagues. That's not really a thing anymore. So everybody's got their different path. Some guys just need to play more baseball, and they need to go into these summer leagues and get more experience and learn the game more. When you move on to the pro ranks, that's one of the biggest things I tell our pitchers all the time is, once I know you are a potential draft pick, now part of my job is getting you ready for when you show up with them, not just making you a really good college pitcher, not helping you be a good college pitcher. You've already got that. Now we want to make you, capable of showing up into that A-ball team and being promoted very quickly to AA, because we've already worked on these things. But it's really the same thing for the college players. Just don't give a scout a reason to cross you off. Don't talk back to an umpire. Be a good teammate, hustle on and off the field, and your ability to, speak for itself.
What advice would you give college coaches looking to get started coaching?
Really just network as much as possible, make a good name for yourself by being a hard worker. We all work a lot of camps, and we talk to a lot of coaches out on the recruiting trail, and you never want to hear a negative thing or a questionable thing about somebody's work ethic. So, if you go in as the lowest assistant or the unpaid or volunteer GA, do anything and everything that every coach on staff wants you to do, and more. Find things to do. That's one thing I learned very quick from Coach Rossi. If you even acted like you were bored, he was going to find something for you to do. So you shouldn't be bored. Every single day, there's something that needs to be done, whether it's go drag the field, edge the field, go fix the fence, go hang up a sign, go clean the locker room, go picking up balls, do something. I think all the young coaches need to know that they should be looking for things to do, not waiting for people to ask them to do things.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with JMU Baseball at?
Everything for JMU Baseball is just simply at JMU Baseball, which has worked out perfect. We don't have any of those odd, underscores or hyphens or any of those weird little labels. They did a good job years before we got here of, I think Twitter and Instagram are both at JMU Baseball. For myself on Twitter, it's at Jimmy Jackson 28. Because of course I didn't get in there early enough to get a normal number. So I just picked 28. And on Instagram, it's just Coach in front of my name, just Coach Jimmy Jackson. That's really all I have for social media, to be honest.
Thank you again, Coach Jimmy Jackson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in this upcoming year with JMU Baseball.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jimmy, for your interview, and best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.